down in Jacksonville. The Bulldogs and Gators are getting it on today, and Tennessee needs some help to leapfrog over Florida in the SEC East. Bob Carpenter, Tim Foley, miserable day in Knoxville. Cold, rainy, windy, snow could be on the way. But the Volunteers need the same help, Tim, that the Gators got down the stretch 1 year ago.
Yeah, that's all fan talk and media talk. You and I know that, Bob. And Phil Fulmer is trying to do the best he can to focus his football team on South Carolina. They need to take care of business here today.
And they remember what happened last year. They know that Carolina has a good defense. They're only giving up 13 points a game.
Actually 10th in the nation in scoring defense, led by Ernest Dixon, an outside linebacker, Tony Watson at strong safety, and then Stacey Evans, who is last week's SEC Defensive Player of the Week.
And the left end was that because he had a couple of sacks and a fumble recovery against Vandy. Vandy had only 84 yards against Carolina. Gamecocks and Tannehill have not been putting the ball in the end zone. One offensive touchdown the last 2 weeks. That's not the problem here with Heath Shuler, who throws the ball to everybody, it seems.
He just is fantastic, does a wonderful job. He's got dangerous wide receivers, and he spreads the ball out. These are three of them that caught over 20 passes. Just does a marvelous job.
74 catches, 18 touchdowns between those guys. And we've got more coming up from Knoxville, including Bob Kessling on the sidelines on a miserable day when the Volunteers and the Gamecocks are set to go. It is a cold, wet, windy day in Knoxville. Nobody knows that more than a guy who played some football here down on the sidelines, Bob Kessling.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bob. You know, the conditions here, the turf is in pretty good shape because when it rains here, actually, this turf plays better, so the traction is good. And, of course, South Carolina concerned about coming into this hostile environment. It's a South Carolina team that has been up and down all season long. Last week, though, they had a big win against Vanderbilt. We talked with Coach Sparky Woods about the troubles and the ups and downs of his Gamecock team.
When I took the job, I told them it'd be 94 before we could have an idea of what kind of football team we're going to have. I believe everybody understands that. In fact, I think we're probably ahead of schedule. We didn't know at that time we were going to jump into the SEC, so sometimes we can be an improved football team and still not win, and that's kind of what happened to us this year, I think.
Sparky hopes that today he gets some protection for his quarterback, Steve Tannehill. Interesting stat. Look, both Tannehill and Shuler have completed 117 passes this year. But look at the productivity for Shuler. 15 more touchdown passes and 2 less interceptions. A lot of that traced to South Carolina's offensive line. As for Heath Shuler, he separated his left shoulder in the Alabama game. He missed all of practice last week, but he says he's 100% this week and ready to go. His quarterback coach, David Cutcliffe, said Heath just treat like this like mountain weather. That's the way it is up in Bryson City.
Tennessee comes in 5-1-1 overall, 3-1-1 of the SEC. AP ranks them 8th. Coaches rank them 9th in the country. South Carolina won the toss and deferred. So UT will receive on a 42-degree day. Winds are gusting a bit. With all the rain in the area, humidity is up at 100%, and the forecast is for more of the same, and maybe even a little worse. 12th game of the series. Tennessee has won 7 of the previous 11. 6-0 here. They haven't played in this stadium since 1971. Travis Harrison is the Gamecock kickoff man. Charlie Garner is back with Billy Williams, and the kick is taken by Williams inside the 5, straight up the middle, over the 30, and it's tough for the Gamecocks to knock him down. It took Chris Alford, a wide receiver, to knock him down after a 28-yard return. Tennessee starts off with their multiple set offense, led by Heath Shuler. He's a junior who's rewriting the record books here. Already has broken the season touchdown mark. He's 6 away from Andy Kelly's career touchdown pass mark. 19 scores, 6 interceptions this year. He's completing 65% of his passes. Out to the right side on first down for Craig Faulkner. He'll get about 6 yards on first down. And here's a look at the Mazda starting lineups for Tennessee. Up front, they play 4 sophomores in front of these skill people. Mose Phillips, the fullback, Charlie Garner, having an outstanding season, 92 yards a game. And we've already talked about their great wide receivers, David Horn, the tight end. Kevin Mays, the only junior up there. Layman, Miller, Smith, and Ratliff are all sophomores. 3 wide receivers and a back on second down. And that's a first down for Charlie Garner, and he might score! Touchdown, Tennessee! He had a 73-yarder a couple of weeks ago against Bama, and the Volunteers strike early.
Great job up front by Tennessee. Bubba Miller, Kevin Mays, Jeff Smith, the men you were just mentioning in the starting lineups. And once Gardner gets gone, there's nobody going to catch him. As you mentioned, 73 yards, same look and run last week against Alabama.
It was just about to the same side of the field. John Becksford now with 96 consecutive extra points and 49 seconds into the game. Garner's gone 60, and the Vols have scored 7. Brought to you in part by your local Mazda dealers. Charlie Garner looked like an RX-7 going into the end zone for 60 yards on the second play of the game. 49 seconds in. A simple play off the left side, and Tim, the offensive line really opened it up.
And they trapped it with the tight end up the middle. That's something that a favorite play of Tennessee's. And this is exactly what you don't want to have happen if you're South Carolina. The idea is stay in the game, stay close, especially on a day like today when it's going to be difficult to throw the ball effectively. So now they have to fight back. Now they have to try to regroup it.
Already. Frank Adams, one of the return men. He's a good one, averaging 17 yards, and Brandon Bennett joins him. John Becksford with the kickoff from the Volunteer 35. At the 2.5, Frank Adams near sideline. And it took a good reaching tackle by Scott Gallion, or he might have had some big room up the near side. So it's come from behind time already for Steve Tannehill and the Gamecocks of South Carolina. And Frank Adams, by the way, got up limping after that kickoff return. We'll check on him. Tannehill out of Altoona, PA, a sophomore, completing 52% of his throws. 4 touchdowns, but 8 interceptions this year. They've got a good one back there, and Brandon Bennett, and there he goes. But he will be caught in the secondary by Ronald Davis at the 27-yard line. What is going on? A 48-yard run.
John Harrison, Vincent Dinkins open it up front. Great lead block by Rob DeBoer. Bennett makes a defensive back miss, and then he's off and running. Now, Ronald Davis is probably the fastest guy in the stadium, and he's going to catch him, but that shows character by South Carolina, and I think that's what Sparky Woods has developed in this team over the last couple of years.
By 1 yard, that was Brandon Bennett's longest run of the season. There's nothing there on first down for Rob DeBoer, the fullback. Reggie Ingram came to get him from middle linebacker. Carolina averaging 118 per game on the ground, 215 through the air.
You get up to play a football game like this, you don't want to be surprised by South Carolina, and then all of a sudden, bang, you put 7 points on the board, and sometimes that can deflate that emotion. So Tennessee has to guard against that, especially defensively.
Single back set on second down and 9 with 3 wide receivers. Tannehill, nobody open. He will pump fake and run it inside the 25. And Scott Gallion hanging on to the jersey to stop him, or he would have had 5 more.
Tannehill shows a lot of spunk. You know, he's a fighter. I mean, it'll look like a fighter, but he is a fighter. He's got a great spirit. If he has a deficiency, it's that he doesn't have very quick feet. He has a difficult time escaping, and with all the problems South Carolina has had in the offensive line, you know, he's taken a beating this year.
Third down and 4. Carolina 34% on third down conversions this year. And flags all over. Play stopped. Al Ford is today's referee.
Ball was snapped. Movement by the offensive line. 5 yards. Still third down.
That'll make it 3rd down and 9. They've got to get to the 18-yard line.
They've still got questions, and this is going to end up in a timeout.
Tennessee showing a 3-man front. Now on 3rd and long, the Volunteers, they take James Wilson and move him from end to tackle. They'll take Ben Talley and move him from linebacker to defensive end. And Quincy Prickmore, who's normally a DB, will come in and help out a linebacker. But, Tim, that's something that Tennessee's been doing for a number of weeks. That shouldn't be that big of a surprise.
No, I don't think that was the problem. Whenever you have so many injuries in an offense, and Tennessee has lined up pretty much the same 22 guys as starters all year long. And sometimes South Carolina's looking to see if they have anybody to send in. They've had so many injuries that it's hard to develop any continuity in what you're doing. You've got true freshmen playing, inexperienced people playing. You just see Fulmer patrolling the sidelines. What a marvelous job he's done here at Tennessee. 13 years as an assistant, 3 years as an offensive coordinator. They know exactly what they're trying to do.
The loss at Florida, the tie at Birmingham against Bama 2 weeks ago. And they really had Alabama beaten in that game. We watched a lot of film from that one yesterday, and it's striking how well Tennessee controlled Bama, except for the final drive of the game. 3rd down and 9. Tannehill flushed out, and he is still on his feet. Shovels ahead to Rob DeBoer, but it will be way short. DeBoer out of bounds at the 23, so they'll gain about 4.5 yards on that play and be faced with 4th down, and they've got a kicker headed on to the field.
Tennessee has an intense pass rush. You're going to see a lot of action on the inside as they try to create an open seam. Tannehill does a nice job escaping, no place to go with the ball, and he's going to try to put 3 up.
Travis Harrison is the kicker. Reed Morton usually handles the field goals, and Harrison hits it beautifully. That's about a 40-yard field goal by Travis Harrison, who normally only handles the kickoffs. Carolina on the board, but Tennessee leads it. We're back after this from your local SEC station.
If you're looking for ways...
And field goal of the year. Up till now, the field goals have been handled by Reed Morton, who was 9 of 14 with a long of 42 against Arkansas. But Sparky Woods going with his kickoff man, Harrison, and they got the 40-yard field goal. Charlie Garner on the return, angling near side, trying to squirt up the sideline. There's a flag on the play at the 30-yard line. Well, it is the day before Halloween, and it's not a bad day to cover your face. It is pretty cold here, but I don't know about the fashion statement being made. Easily the most unattractive couple in the stadium today, other than the one sitting up here. We'll check the flag. It appears to be on the return team. Some sort of illegal block. And that'll back up Heath Schuler and the Volunteers. Nose of the football at their 16-yard line. Schuler nursing a shoulder. He told us yesterday it's not bothering him too much. They had a week off after the Bama game. So he's raring to go. Single back set with a man in the slot. And the give is to James Stewart. And these teams are doing some sort of job today running on 1st down. A 60-yarder by Charlie Garner, a 48-yarder by Brandon Bennett of South Carolina, and that one by Stewart goes 17 yards.
Ernest Dixon fights off the blocks, not able to plant and get back into it to make the tackle. Finally, Tony Watkins is there to help Adams bring him down.
Little man Stewart, a junior out of Morristown, Tennessee, averaging almost 5 yards a carry. And on first down. Schuler looks to him again. Gamecock stuffed it up pretty well. Along the line of scrimmage, we saw some hard work by Mike Landry. Brew Pender came up to make the stop, but Landry's the guy who sort of plugged up the play. He's an inside linebacker replacing Hank Campbell, who's out for the year with a broken foot and probably will get a medical red shirt. And considering the people they've lost,
David Turnipseed, Jerry Inman, Norman Green, Hank Campbell, Chris Rump has a broken thumb.
yeah, he's playing with a wrist and thumb problem. Second down and 8. Schuler out to the right side, and the ball is through the hands of Billy Williams.
Beautiful throw to the wide side of the field. If he had a sore shoulder, it's better. Because he puts it on the money out here. Beautiful throw, and Williams can't hang on to it. It's got a little slime from the wet probably, and you'll see a lot of that this afternoon.
Despite the gloves, fouls an even proposition on third down this year. This is a third down and 8. 5 receivers out there. Schuler stands alone behind center for the shotgun. Looks out to the right side quickly, and what a quick reaction that was by Chris Abrams. A true freshman from Waynesboro, Georgia, a former high school All-American, and had he gotten there a step earlier, that might have been 6 points.
Well, Dave Bivey's the secondary coach here at South Carolina. Played this perfectly, and as you mentioned, a true freshman. He was a quarterback in high school, has a sense for what's going on, but that's just a fine job by that young man.
4,000 yards total offense in his high school career. Toby Cates back to receive the kick of Tom Hutton, who's averaging 40. And the left footer has one go end over end on him a bit. On the hop at the 27. And a couple of yards on the return will be about it. Mark Holland, a junior center, on special teams right there for the Volunteers stop. A 38-yard kick. Holland's tackle after a 3-yard return. And the Gamecocks will have the football just inside their own 30. We've only played 5 minutes and 24 seconds. Tennessee leads at 7-3. Bob Carpenter, Tim Foley, and Bob Kessling from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. Let's see what happens on first down this time. The pitch to Bennett. Cuts it up. He's got good yardage. Over the 40 for a first down. So every time a drive has started today, these two teams have had first down running plays.
Last week against Alabama, they had Talley coming from the outside to try to contain the toss. This year they haven't gone to this game. They haven't gone to that look yet, and it was successful later on in the game against Alabama. So you may see Talley slide outside a little bit.
That run put Brandon Bennett over the 2,000-yard mark. There's a fumble. Tennessee has it. Reggie Ingram came up with the ball. Horace Morris is the man who made the stop that caused the fumble.
Brandon Bennett, one of the steadiest backs in the SEC. A good jam there by Talley, and Horace Morris did knock it out. Talley's upfield, jams it, closes it to the inside.
And then Reggie Ingram right there to recover a fumble for the second time this year. Horace Morris causes his second fumble this season. Flag on the first down Tennessee play. As Mose Phillips was working off the left side.
Before the ball was snapped, movement by the offensive line, 5 yards. Still first down.
So a penalty similar to what Carolina had a few moments ago will make it a 1st and 15 at the 44 of the Gamecocks.
You know, a game like this scares a head coach more than a big game. I mean, it's harder to prepare for South Carolina for Phil Fulmer than it would have been to prepare for Alabama. All his guys are ready to go against Alabama. They all know that it's a big game, and after that emotional peak, you're afraid of having a valley.
Schuler in the eye with play action. Out to the right side. Craig Faulkner, first down. and he'll be down to the 22-yard line. Faulkner, the senior out of Richmond, Kentucky, with his 25th catch of the year, and that 22-yarder will put him over 500 this season.
That's just composure, ball handling. Nice fake. Looks it over and then finds Faulkner on the outside, who had drifted out to his left away from Chris Rump. And then the Gamecocks close on him. Craig Faulkner. He's just been a stellar performer for Tennessee this year.
First down at the 22. Charlie Garner has it. That looked like a rodeo move as Mike Landry was riding him for a while before he could bring him down.
Well, Mike Landry, he played a little inside linebacker the first couple of years, and then they moved him to fullback in the spring. They had so much depth at linebacker, and then with Hank Campbell going down, who was really their run defense guy here at South Carolina, Landry has come in and taken his place and done an admirable job.
By the way, Hank did guarantee a South Carolina win to Gamecock fans after the Vandy game last Saturday. Out to the right side and out of bounds with the catch goes Corey Fleming. Corey has caught a TD pass every game this year. He has 7 on the season, and that will be his 29th of the year. A 14-yarder.
On a wet field, a defensive back either has to get up in a receiver's face or give himself a little extra room so he doesn't have to back out of there in a hurry.
You saw the graphic, the 14 touchdowns, his career mark. It's only a couple away from the mark of Alvin Harper. First and goal outside the 5. Schuler changing the play. Looking up top, right side, and it's too high. Corey Fleming again. Ron Neely, left corner on the coverage.
And that's the side you're going to work on. I think people respect Frank Adams, and it's fortunate for South Carolina that what appeared to be a knee injury on the opening kickoff was nothing more than a little bump, I guess, because Adams is back out there at one corner spot.
Tim, they've got 3 freshmen and a sophomore at their backup spots. They've lost Jerry Inman and Norman Green from the 2 safeties. They can't lose Frank Adams. Second and goal, same play. Caught, but beyond the end zone. And again, Corey Fleming on Ron Neely. Keith Schuler convinced that Fleming at 6'3" could get the touchdown over the 5'10" of Ron Neely. One ball overthrown, that one thrown just a little bit too far.
Yeah, and we'll see this again. Phil Fulmer was gesturing emphatically from the sideline, so I'm wondering if that wasn't a checkoff by Schuler.
5 wide receivers on 3rd and goal. Kevin Mays, the left guard, pulling up.
That's got to be, especially for Phil Fulmer, who's, he had developed a reputation as a guy that really produced great offensive linemen, just an excellent technician. Not only is he a good strategist, but a good teacher of the fundamentals of offensive line play. And so he hates it when his offensive linemen make a mistake.
Well, they are young, but Mays, the veteran of the group, the man who moves right there. Tennessee penalties, 3 of them already, 25 yards. 3rd and goal from the 10. Looks like a blitz. And now the Gamecocks are across the line of scrimmage.
I think Ratliff moved too.
Eric Brown came across. And Leslie Ratliff, the right tackle, might have been in motion.
Another marker on the play.
I think you're would have to be offsetting penalties on.
And contact by the defense before the snap, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Well, evidently, Eric Brown diverted everybody's attention. He's the only man flagged. Volunteers get the 5 yards back. Carolina's 2nd penalty.
See, they're not going on the snap count here, so they're not going on an audible noise. They're looking in at the ball. They're waiting for the ball to go, but sometimes you can get distracted if the defensive lineman moves.
Schuler on 3rd down. Touchdown! He couldn't get Corey Fleming outside, but he got him inside. There is a flag on the play. It appears to be against Tennessee.
Illegal procedure against the offense. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Still third down.
It's a big break for South Carolina. You had Corey Fleming lined up head-on-head with Terry Cousins. Terry's a true freshman, and Corey's been around for a while. Now that's experience working against the little baby in there.
Third and goal from the 10 again. Schuler looking left side, angling in, and it's short. Charlie Garner, or was it Billy Williams? Williams, the receiver, just short. And you know what the 90,000 or so here want them to do.
Bet it all, run it, let it ride. Good job here. Adams drags him down, doesn't let him get into the end zone.
Well, no sign of the kicker. Mose Phillips, the fullback, has come in. Probably got a couple of tight ends who made their way into the game.
They're not going to call Phil Fulmer conservative.
4th and goal. Mose Phillips in motion. Stewart, touchdown! James Littleman Stewart with his 4th score of the year. And with 7:03 to go first quarter, the Volunteers cash in a 4th and goal.
Nice job here by the right side of that offensive line. Ratliff and Smith. Brunson leading the way over the top. Stewart.
Becksford for the extra point. That's about as automatic as it gets around here. 97 straight. And on a cold day in Knoxville, the Vols look hot on offense.
Here we go, 4th and 1. Phil Fulmer decides to take a chance for Tennessee. They're going for it. Hand the ball to James. Little man Stewart up and over the top, and he lands on his buddy Jeff Smith. Hey, good to see you in here, James. Nice to have you here. Glad you made it.
Right behind and up and over and on top of the right guard. And the Vols put another scoring drive together. This one took 2:10. Their first one only took 2 plays. And Becksford will kick it off with Brandon Bennett and Corey Bridges back to receive the kick.
So far we've had 2 kickoffs in this game, and both of them have been close to, actually 3 kickoffs, and all of them have been close to breaking.
Bridges inside his 5. The Volunteers did a great job of spreading that play out so that Corey could not find an opening. Tony Robinson, defensive end on special teams, with the stop after an 18-yard return.
Sparky Woods being forced to play a lot of true freshmen. And, you know, there's good and bad about that. You're getting young people some experience, but sometimes if you give them the experience before they're ready to handle it, they don't succeed, and you have to rebuild their confidence.
Kenny Hill, play action on first down, looking left side, and he's got his tight end, Boomer Foster. Foster, a junior from Georgia, Jonesboro way, and that's his 9th catch of the year. He's actually moved up over Matthew Campbell at starting tight end. Matthew is nursing an ankle sprain, didn't play against Mississippi State, just played a little bit against Vandy, so Foster moves up on the depth chart.
And Foster's been a player since he's a true freshman. He played a lot in 1991, and he's been very productive for South Carolina.
Foster out there with Campbell now on 2nd down and 3. The give to Rob DeBoer. Skating along the line of scrimmage, and Ben Talley got him. Talley, an outstanding player up front for the Volunteers. Of course, he's a linebacker, but he gets up front a lot.
Yeah, they put him down, and they like to apply pressure with Ben Talley. Just a great job of playing off the blocker and getting to the tackle. Now, he played behind Ernest Fields for a year here at Tennessee, who was a great role model for him, and just a very attentive student of the game with excellent talent.
Bert Frederick, a wide receiver for South Carolina, joins the group out there. Brandon Bennett on the reception, a flag on the play. The play itself is good enough for first down yardage, but we'll have to check on the penalty flag. And it looks like it's against the visitors. And we got people cheering like crazy down in front of us, Tim. That must mean that Georgia just scored down in Florida.
Right. These guys, I'm trying to get them to keep their mind on the game, but they're just not paying any attention here.
5 yards, still third
And
down.
they're getting mad at you for not turning that game on. They can see a TV setup we have up here, but it is dark. Tim
They
Foley,
paid for this one. They want us to turn the television. You guys turn around. Look the other way. Get into the game.
Tim Foley's about to get run out of this stadium, folks. 3rd down and 8 for the Gamecocks. Hey, they take it serious here, buddy. Little inside draw. Rob DeBoer. And that may be enough. It will be for the first down.
You gotta love guys like Rob DeBoer. Now, he just keeps coming back for more. He's been the 2nd leading rusher on this team for 3 years. You know, what he does best is block, and yeah, he's an excellent catcher on the baseball team, was drafted by Toronto, and he just loves to play. He's a good Midwestern boy from Omaha, Nebraska, grew up in the cornfield.
Like that call by Art Wilkins on 3rd and long as well. First down for the Gamecocks. Brandon Bennett gets outside, near side, and he'll be out of bounds at the 43. First down has been a big running down for both football teams today. Ben Talley with his 3rd tackle of the day, his team leading 57th of the year. And Brandon Bennett, he is really running the ball well so far, about 16 yards or so a carry.
Corey Lucci did an excellent job on that last play. He and John Harris on the right side of that offensive line. Lucci's one of the few guys to line up and play every down.
Corey's playing with a bad back as well. And there's Bennett off the right side, and that's another South Carolina first down. Clock moves, so do the change with 4:45 to go in the first quarter. 14-3 Tennessee. If you joined us late, you missed a great run. On the 2nd play of the game, Charlie Garner went 60 yards. A Travis Harrison field goal got the Gamecocks on the board, and then James Stewart with a 1-yard plunge, capping a 39-yard drive after a turnover. We'll keep you updated on what's happening in Jacksonville today. Georgia and Florida playing there. Boy, it is raining big time down there. It'll probably be a low-scoring game. First down. Rob DeBoer leapfrogging a guy and getting out to midfield.
That's quite a bit of agility for a fullback. I guess they call them running backs here. They're both running backs, but a nice job. South Carolina going with 2 tight ends. Trying to get a little bit of movement inside, trying to run the ball on this Tennessee defense. Great move. Good athletic ability. Finally gets nailed by Reggie Ingram, tracks him down.
Well, it's low scoring if that was the final, but they're dealing with the rain pretty well down there today. DeBoer again, left side, and he is wrapped up by Ingram. Reggie, a great senior out of Whitehaven High School in Memphis. He's the only guy up in Ben Talley territory in numbers of tackles on this team. Of his 50 tackles coming in, 38 of them were solos. He had 14 against Arkansas, 13 against Alabama 2 weeks ago.
And what's best about Reggie probably is his leadership ability. He is a steadying force on this Tennessee defense. See him telling people where to go. You're over there. You stay over there.
They're down in 6. Alford in motion. Tannehill looking near side, flushed out, still can't throw, finally does, and it is intercepted. Deron Jenkins on the near side. Brandon Bennett, the intended receiver, and Jenkins picks off his 4th of the year and the 6th of his 2-year career.
He had one 2 weeks ago against Alabama. He returned a fumble, 35 yards in that game also, and Tannehill just trying to lob it out of bounds, didn't get enough velocity on it.
And it was Ben Talley who was all over Brandon Bennett. Ball might have been way too tall for him anyway. Volunteers outside their own 40. Schuler straight ahead, tipped and dropped by Fleming. Eric Brown, the inside linebacker, the man who tipped the football.
Eric Brown doing a nice job of dropping back in there. I think he just eluded Heath Schuler's vision.
Heath Schuler now 5 of 9 for 49 yards. He had a rare 0 for and a half against Alabama 2 weeks ago. Charlie Garner. That's a first down into South Carolina territory. He is so good at getting outside. We saw it on the long touchdown run against Bama 2 weeks ago. The second play of the game touchdown run today. He has a quick move to the left when he looks outside.
Exactly, and here's a guy that came to Tennessee looking at 2 freshmen that started the year before him. So, I mean, he could have been looking at being third team, but he is competitive. He has made Hayden and Stewart better running backs because of his example. He is so intense.
144 yards against the Titans. Schuler out to the right side for Billy Williams. The Gamecocks played it pretty well. Eric Brown was one of the first ones there.
144 yards against one of the best defenses in America. That's quite a lot of performance there.
That's 8.5 yards a carry, Tim. He toted the ball 17 times. Third time this year that Garner went over 100. 7th time in 2 years. What a great back. Doesn't get all the notice because of Schuler and the passing attack. Second down and 7 with 1:50 to go, first quarter. Stewart getting outside. Up the field, near sideline. A first down and a whole lot more down to the 22. A 21-yard gain.
Well, Tony Watkins tried to beat the block inside here. He's got containment. He tries to come inside. You see him just falling down there. He got blocked. He felt he was clipped, but then Stewart takes off, and down the sideline he goes. And here comes Watkins coming inside. And he was saying one of those wide receivers snuck up on him.
Schuler on first down, keeping it on the ground, and Stewart had nowhere to go. Stacey Evans, the SEC Defensive Player of the Week, right there. What a game against Vandy last week. 2 sacks, one of those for a safety. Of his 6 tackles, 3 were out for the year. Schuler waits for him. A straight-ahead screen to Garner. He's inside the 15, down around the 10. That will be another first down. And that's a 13-yard play.
You talked about their running attack, and their running attack is what opens up their throwing. Any defensive coach that you talk to, like Miles Aldridge, he felt like they had to stop their running. They all say the same thing, and that's what opens this up for them. Then you get them the ball through the air. Charlie Garner's going to make a great throw back. He may not be as big as they'd like him to be, but he catches the ball well, and he is tough to corral once he gets in the open.
First and 10 outside the 10. Garner into the line and not much there. Tony Watkins came up from strong safety to plug it. And then the teams have some words. And that'll be the end of the first quarter. An exciting one it was on the second play of the game. Charlie Garner went 60 yards. They added one later, and it's Tennessee 14-3 after 1. 7th play of the Tennessee drive coming up. A second down and 10 from outside the South Carolina 10. Gamecocks almost jumped off sides. Mose Phillips the carry, and it's a touchdown. For the second year in a row, nobody from Carolina can tackle this guy. Mose Phillips with his second rushing touchdown of the year. And that was was a tough 10-plus yards.
It looked like he was behind a bulldozer there. Jeff Smith. Watch that. Smith just taking him upfield. And then finally, Phillips scoots by him and into the end zone.
Becksford for the point after. Will he ever miss one? 3 today, 98 consecutive. 4th longest streak in the SEC and a Tennessee record. A 7-play, 59-yard drive. And it's 21-3 Volunteers. Well, the home team dominates. Let's check in at the sidelines with Bob Kessler.
You know, Bob, it's been a dazzling display by the Tennessee running backs, and also consider the Volunteers lost one this week. Aaron Hayden, who played so well early in the season, injured his knee against LSU. He went under arthroscopic knee surgery this week. He'll be out for the rest of the season. They're going to think about maybe applying for a redshirt year. So, again, Tennessee's running back stable will be full next year. Also, remember, the Volunteers have 2 outstanding freshmen, Jay Graham and Ronnie Pillow. So they've looked very good today in running backs, and they've got more on the way.
Well, Bob, coaches around the SEC really thank you for that report. That's exactly what they wanted to hear. Here's a look at our Lee Apparel first quarter stats. Rushing, Tennessee got 60 of that 117 on Charlie Garner's run. Carolina got 48 of its 88 on the Brandon Bennett run. Passing for Schuler and the Volunteers, the advantage. 81 total yards more in the first quarter of play. That was a 3-minute and 5-second drive. 7 plays, 59 yards for the Volunteers.
And that was a productive first quarter for South Carolina on offense. They had 100 yards. I think they'd settle for 100 yards, 400 yards on the game. So offensively, they're doing fine. Defensively, I think all the injuries have finally started to take its toll, and this is the best offense that they will face all year long.
But one thing they're not doing well offensively is holding on to the football. Their last 2 possessions resulting in a fumble and an interception. Can't afford that against the Big Orange when it's football time in Tennessee. Kickoff coming. And here you are in the second quarter, 5 seconds in. Sparky Woods is saying, hey, we've got to have a touchdown drive now.
We at least have to have a drive. And they have been doing well so far.
Becksford will kick it into the end zone. And it's too deep for Corey Bridges. Well, next Saturday, our Lee Apparel SEC game, Birmingham again coming from behind to get that tie against Tennessee 2 weeks ago. That was really as good as a win for the Crimson Tide in regard to their part of the conference race.
You have to give Alabama a lot of credit. I was talking to Larry Marmee, the defensive coordinator at Tennessee, and you know, he was proud of the way his young men played, and at the end of the game, they've got 2 defensive backs injured. They really can't use a nickel package. Finally, they put Ronnie Davis back in the game, but his ribs were so bad it was hard for him to perform effectively. Great effort by Alabama to come back there.
Second down and 7. Brandon Bennett broke a tackle, and then he gets over the 25-yard line before he was brought down by Leland Taylor. Taylor, a redshirt freshman out of Louisville, who backs up Paul Yatkowski at right tackle.
Well, that time Larry Marmee brought Scott Gallion from the outside, and you know, he and Rob DeBoer had a collision in the backfield. Brandon Bennett worked his way around that and picked up some yardage.
Third down and 3. Tannehill hasn't been able to throw on his first attempt all day. Every time he's been back to throw, that first look has not been there, Tim. It shows you that the Tennessee secondary is playing well, and then eventually he gets flushed out or has to pump a couple of times.
And also, it's difficult for receivers to make sharp breaks. Sometimes you get forced out of a route. It's tough for you to get back into it. Steve Tannehill, you know, he's getting an education this year. You know, last year things went very well for him, and this year has been his true introduction into the SEC.
36 yards to kick for Marty Simpson this year. Not a good one, but he gets a good bounce that'll give him about an extra 10 or 12 yards. Ball will roll dead at the Tennessee 33-yard line. A 30-yarder by Simpson. And the Volunteers will have the football when we come back. 13:27 before halftime. It's all Vols. 21-3 in Knoxville. On first down, Tennessee gets a big passing play. Heath Schuler to Billy Williams.
Well, Billy Williams, their first down rock and roll guy, when they're heading downfield. And he slid in there behind Ron Neely, makes a move back across the field. 36-yard completion. Schuler to Williams.
Down to the 31 of Carolina. The pitch, Charlie Garner. Who can tackle him? He loses the football. Craig Faulkner picked it up on the far sideline. The ball rolled out and stopped just before going out of bounds, and Faulkner out there helping block alertly picked it up. Mike Landry on the hit.
Watch this line work again. You see Brunson out in front. Looks like Horn getting a block, and then Garner tried to slice through there. The ball is pulled loose, and as you pointed out, Faulkner comes up with it.
9 yards on the gain, second down and 1. Volunteers came into this one averaging 37 points a game, number 2 in the SEC and number 9 in the nation. They've been as high as the top 5 in the country scoring this year. That was after 5 ball games. And they're approaching that orange zone again.
Second and 1. This is a time that you can expect Schuler to look for the end zone. Very effective. Hard to cover double cover all 3 wide receivers.
A reverse to Williams. Getting outside. And he's down out of bounds around the 13-yard line. Looked like we may have seen some clipping on that play as the field was reversed, and Kevin Mays laid one on Brew Pender.
Well, second short's a down that you can take a risk.
And a clip.
Do something a little creative.
15 yards from the shot of the foul. Still second down.
So the next teams you're playing have to prepare for it. They come with the reverse to Billy Williams. Getting on the outside there, and as you said, a clip by Kevin Mays on Brew Pender was the call, and 15 yards. Good break for South Carolina. Now, Gamecock defense, time to reorganize, time to regroup, time to make a play.
5 Tennessee penalties for 45 yards. Hasn't made much difference to their offense, though. They've been picking up yards in huge chunks. Schuler rushed out for Stewart, and there's a flag on the play there. Gamecocks were really coming hard into that backfield of Tennessee, and there might have been a little holding there to prevent the sack.
And Eric Sullivan,
Tennessee led 14-3 after 1. They've added a Mose Phillips 10-yard run 5 seconds into this quarter and lead at 21-3. You know, Tim, I really thought South Carolina was in great shape when they won that opening road game at Georgia. And one of the main reasons is the fact that the Gamecocks had a very favorable schedule this year. They always play a tough schedule, but this year Sparky had 7 home games on his schedule. The one that really hurt him was, they go to Arkansas and lose by a point, beat Louisiana Tech at home, but then they lose at home to Kentucky and Alabama, and they win a homecoming game against East Carolina. No surprise there, but they go to Mississippi State and get shut out, and that's when some of the heat got turned up on the head coach.
Yet they have had so many injuries, though. I think it would be fair to say that we have seen them improve over the last 2 years. And so I think that's the important thing to look at. Because whenever you change coaches, you lose continuity.
Kelly Williams into South Carolina territory, done around the 47, but they have to get to the 21-yard line for a first down. Jamal Pettiford from right end, number 96 on the stop. He's been nursing a shoulder sprain. His backup ran 26 What do you have in the playbook for this heat, Schuler? Shotgun. Pettiford looked like he had a shot, then he fell, and Schuler escapes another tackle, and he's cracked out of bounds at the Carolina bench. Finally, from the Gamecock standpoint, Ernest Dixon got him after there was pressure from Stacey Evans.
South Carolina's defense does a great job pressuring the passer. You saw Pettiford split two defensive linemen, and then Evans chasing Schuler, and then bang, finally Dixon gets there and knocks him out of bounds.
And Tom Hutton will try to pin Bridges or Cates deep in South Carolina territory with this left foot. Hangs it up, spiral, but it will reach the end zone. They got a good foot in that one, 49 yards worth, and a timeout on the field with 11:21 to go, second quarter. Tennessee 21, South Carolina 3. Local Toyota dealer. I love what you do for me, Toyota. 21-3 Vols down to Bob.
You know, this is homecoming hasn't worked out the way Sparky Woods would have liked. He grew up in Oneida, Tennessee, just outside Knoxville, was hoping for big things. He's always been a Tennessee fan.
I lived all my life in Oneida where we grew up, and so I used to watch them all play, and I knew every one of them. I know the words to Rocky Top by heart, I guess.
Well, not the kind of homecoming he was looking for after the 24-23 win last year, but he's down 21-3 here.
And he played at Carson Newman for Dal Shealy there, and he also coached under Johnny Majors here at Tennessee.
Play action for Tannehill, and he's got it out to the left side for Stanley Pritchett. First action of the day for the sophomore out of the Atlanta area, College Park, Douglas High School. But they've used him as a receiver more than they've used Rob DeBoer. That was Stanley's 14th catch of the year. Tannehill is now 3 out of 4 on the day for about 15 yards. So a very quiet passing day for the Gamecocks.
Pritchett, of course, is a converted tight end, so he's got the good hands and for the size and ability to block.
Draw play. Forget it. Shane Burton right there with Leland Taylor. That's Burton, a sophomore, and Taylor, a redshirt freshman.
Defensive front is coming together for Tennessee. They got 4 of them down there, and most of the time you're going to see them taking a gap. Very rarely play 2 gap or head up. They're going to go one way or the other, and Shane Burton is also a converted tight end, and this young man's just a superior athlete. He could develop into a premier defensive lineman for Tennessee.
Out of Catawba, North Carolina. Florida kicked the field goal moments ago, so it's now 2016 in the second period. We've got Tannehill calling another timeout for the Gamecocks with 10:02 to go in the second quarter. Now, in the SEC East, Tennessee needs some help from Georgia. Gators are 4-1. The Volunteers are 3-1-1. They need Georgia to get the upset in Jacksonville today. Much the way that Florida trailed Tennessee down the stretch last year, and they got some help, eased into the championship game, and gave Bama a very good game before Alabama went on to the Sugar Bowl and the national championship.
The officials tell the Gamecock sidelines they only have 1 timeout left. Seem to be having a little difficulty picking up the formations from the sideline.
Gamecocks will be looking at a 3rd and 9 from their own 21-yard line.
That in and of itself is an intricate set of signals you're sending these plays in.
Single back. Tannehill looked right through left. He's got Mike Reddick. And Reddick taken down short of the first down. First action of the day for Mike Reddick, the sophomore out of Miami. And the Gamecocks will have to kick the football.
Good job by Austin and Davis closing on this play. This is a screenplay set up. They tried to wall off with an offensive lineman.
Well, they
Davis
got Quincy Prigmore walled off, but the rest of the wall was there.
You bet. Good hustle to the ball.
Junior Marty Simpson, a Columbia native, former high school All-American there at the home of the Gamecocks. A low spiral. It'll carry down to the 37 for Corey Fleming, and he'll just ease out of bounds at the 45. 9:09, second quarter. Tennessee with the ball again, leading by 18. Here at Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, they lead it 21-3 in the second quarter. With Tim Foley and Bob Kessling, Bob Carpenter, our Jefferson Pilot SEC crew. And it's been all volunteers in the first half. Schuler with a little bootleg. Then he throws it out to the left side. And the ball is caught by David Horn, his tight end. Harrison Houston has just caught a touchdown pass. And Florida, with the extra point, goes ahead in Jacksonville, 23-20, second quarter. Gators ranked 10th. Auburn 9th. Tennessee 8th. Alabama 5th. 4 SEC teams in the top 10, but no other SEC teams in the top 25. Second down and 5. Charlie Garner feeling his way for a first down.
You got to love that if you're an offensive lineman. You know, when you watch the films, of course they can't see how he's running now, but when you watch the films and you see a running back giving it that much effort, it just makes you want to work that much harder, because you know you're only a few inches away from busting it on every play. Good job there by Aubrey Brooks taking on the fullback.
Charlie Garner has his game average of 92 already today, and he's done it on only 6 carries. Up top, man open, touchdown, Corey Fleming. And that ties the school record by Alvin Harper. His 8th of the year. A 43-yarder.
Great play fake, and Frank Adams just gets caught looking into the backfield. Frank is a fine player. Had a great career at South Carolina. That time it was just a mental error.
And another one by Bexford. His 99th in a row. And Heath Schuler adds to his single-season record with another touchdown pass. 28-3. Volunteer. Tennessee set to kick it off. They lead by 25 now as Corey Fleming catches a perfect 43-yard pass from Heath Schuler. Still 8:04 before halftime. Bexford hits it down inside the 5 for Corey Bridges. Forget it. He's down inside the 10. Looked like the first Carolina guy there, or rather first Tennessee guy, was Shane Beckno, who plays in the defensive backfield.
Beckno and Victor Brown. You know, and you can tell when a team is on emotionally. You can tell when a team is on emotionally just by watching them play the special teams.
Notre Dame has a way of taking care of those sort of situations. They got a big one looming with Florida State in a couple of weeks. Here's Tannehill, underthrown. He had a man open out at the 28-yard line, Toby Cates. Tech looking good against Duke in ACC play today. Clemson throwing the shutout over the Terps at halftime. Has not been a very pleasant season for Ken Hatfield. South Carolina, the state, having a rough football season.
I think that's probably one of the things that's taken a little pressure off from Sparky Woods.
Yeah, you're right, Tim.
They only chew on so many people at once.
Second and 10. Brandon Bennett stopped for a loss. Where do you begin listing the Tennessee tacklers? James Wilson, left end. Shane Bonham, left tackle. Couple of seniors.
And that's a front that's worked real hard, especially these guys in the middle. Bonham and Yatkowski, they're not really all that talented. James Wilson's got a lot of ability. Horace Morris, very fast. But they've all got a great work ethic and really have responded to the coaching of Jacob Burney.
Third down and 11 for Tannehill and the Gamecocks. Up the middle, a wobbler, and it's well short of Monty Means. Good pressure by the Volunteers, but again, Tannehill can't find anybody open when he first looks upfield.
There has been so many injuries in that offensive line, and you know, Mark McHale and Carroll McRae have tried to paste it together, but you know, after you get hit so many times, sometimes even when the pressure's not there, you feel it. You get a little anxious.
Corey Fleming on the return. It was almost blocked. Might have even been deflected. And it's out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Every phase of the game looming as a disaster now for the Gamecocks. Torrey Noel, the man who came after the kicker.
And he is coming, slides inside, and you know, it looked like it came out under him and to the right. Simpson does a nice job of preventing the ball from being blocked, but now Tennessee knocking on the door again.
I saw number 8 flashing in there. Mike Grine, a freshman quarterback out of Houston, working on the special teams. 6:57 to go. Before halftime, the Volunteers up 28-3, have it back. Jerry Colquitt is running the offense. Charlie Garner is running the football. Nobody could tackle him. There's Colquitt, a junior out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. He's only thrown the ball 20 times this year.
But David Cutcliffe, the man that works with the quarterbacks and the offensive coordinator here, he's really proud of the way Jerry Colquitt has dealt with this Schuler thing. You got somebody playing ahead of you that's a superstar, and he feels that Jerry could be a player.
Second down and 7. Garner again, squeezing through a couple of tacklers and getting down near a first down.
He just heads in there like a dive bomber, you know? Upfield follows Brunson. Man, I mean, he takes it upfield.
Penalty marker on the field. Gamecocks indicating that it's against Tennessee. That's about the only thing that has stopped the Volunteer offense today. Charlie Garner has run it 8 times for 101 yards. He may lose some of those on this call.
Personal foul on the offense. The down counts. It'll be third down.
Well, he won't lose them because it's after the play, a personal DB with that analysis. And I shouldn't say X. You'll be a DB forever. This is a 3rd and 17 for Colquitt. Gamecocks blitzing. He's flushed out. Points to one guy, says, "Block him." And then he's finally taken down by Tony Watkins, the strong safety. And it'll be a 4th down play with John Bexford headed out to the field.
Tried to set up a little screen on the right side. South Carolina had it well defended, and then he tells Billy Williams to block that guy. And he did. And finally, Watkins gets there and drills him.
Mark Holland, the snapper, Lance Wheaton, the holder, and John Bexford, 5 of 6 this year. This will be a 35-yarder from the left hash. He's got it. So Bexford makes it a 31-3 game with 5 minutes to go in the first half. Let's get an update from downstairs. Here's Bob Kessling.
Randy Sanders' wife, Kathy, is not at the game today. Randy, of course, is Tennessee's running back coach. She's missing her first game in 8 years, but that's understandable because Randy and Kathy are celebrating the birth of the couple's first child on Monday. Kelly Elizabeth was born, and she, of course, is doing fine and healthy. Randy also missed practice on Monday, but that was excused. Tuesday, he passed out cigars.
Well, congratulations, Randy. I enjoyed watching him as a quarterback here in Tennessee and been a part of the staff for a number of years.
Well, his running backs are smoking here today, aren't they? Now, there's a way to stay warm. You know, that's one of those cheerleader things where the more points they put on the board, the more push-ups those guys have to do. And they may not be ready to pick up anything when Schuler, Colquitt and company, Garner, and others get through with them today. Sparky and the Gamecocks must be looking up at that scoreboard and saying, how can there still be 5 minutes left in this half? It seems like an entire afternoon of football. That defense is spent out on the field already.
I guarantee it seems longer for them if you're on defense for South Carolina.
Frank Adams backed up into the end zone by that kick. And the Gamecocks 4-4 on the year, 2-4 in SEC play, with wins over Georgia and Vandy. Will move the football out from their own 20. And that's 2 yards better than their average starting field position today.
Tennessee obviously with a tremendous advantage in that area, field position.
Tannehill onto the left side. Corey Bridges had it go off his hands, and it popped right up over the head of Ronald Davis. Tannehill's the kind of guy that'll let receivers hear about that, too.
On a day like this, I mean, you just want to circle the wagons. Stay in the huddle a few seconds longer. You know, you want that feeling of security.
Yeah, that one ticked off 5 entire seconds off the clock. And you're down by 28. Tannehill looking again. Right side, and this one is behind Terrell Harris. The announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Sports. This broadcast is a copyright presentation. And he used Tannehill's last 4 passes have missed connections, and now it's 3rd and 10. And this time he is sacked. Paul Yatkowski got him.
The Canadian had been pretty quiet to this point. The ball is snapped, and Yatkowski's coming. See number 64, Steve White, on the outside. But Yatkowski beats his man and makes the sack.
His 2nd sack of the year. A day like this is like springtime in Winnipeg.
He's just loosening up now.
That's right. Marty Simpson will let it go from inside his own 5. A short spiral that gets a good hop into Tennessee territory. And will stop at about the 42, maybe the 43 of the Volunteers. They've got good field position again. A 41-yard kick. And Tennessee gets the ball back with 3:50 remaining. Looks like they're cruising to their 6th win of the year against a loss and a tie.
Schuler back in the game. Talking to David Cutcliffe earlier in the year, they like to get Jerry Colquitt in there somewhere in the 2nd quarter, get him some work. You may not see Schuler in the 2nd half. They can get it in the end zone again.
Stewart, he is loose. Inside the 30, cuts inside. He will score.
Great job of running here by Stewart. A couple of missed tackles by South Carolina. Adams really can't get into it. Watkins tried to get him, pursued from the backside. Wasn't to be. 7-4 Tennessee.
plus 31 equals 38. A 53-yard run by James Stewart. His second touchdown of the day. His 5th of the year. And the route is on big time here in Knoxville. Garner's already over 100. Stewart's approaching the century mark.
And the South Carolina defensive staff has, up to this point, done a wonderful job of holding this together. And eventually it had to have seams in it. You know, there were just too many people that were injured. And let's go down to Bob Kessling on the sideline.
You know, Tim, you talk about Tennessee's offense. The defense also has helped South Carolina. It's only a field goal. And it's a special game for Paul Yetkowski. Paul, of course, is a junior college player here at Tennessee, now a senior, and he's from Winnipeg, Canada. His parents have never seen him play in person until today. They've watched some of the games on tape. They've seen some of the games on satellite on TV, but they've never seen him in person and been to Neyland Stadium. So he made his parents proud with that sack he had just a moment ago against Steve Tannehill.
That sack led to the punt, which led to good field position, which led to the first down 53-yard run by James Stewart. 3:39 before halftime. Frank Adams at his 1. Reversing his field, there's a flag as he can't get to the 15. Tennessee is dominating special teams really well today. And John Becksford a moment ago, speaking of the century mark, kicked his 5th extra point of the day and 100 straight, which that extends his Tennessee record.
You think somebody dropped one, the holder would mess up, something would go wrong.
On the return team, half the distance, first
Remarkable.
Carolina has changed quarterbacks. A sophomore out of Anderson, South Carolina, number 10, Blake Williamson, has come in to run the offense. A forgotten man with Tannehill taking over midseason last year. He threw the ball 38 times in 11 games last year, 16 times this season. He hands off to Brandon Bennett, and he's out to the 11. There's Blake out of T.L. Hanna High School, an all-state quarterback a couple of years ago.
Real hard worker in practice, of course. He had kind of inherited the starting job last year, and when they made the switch to Tannehill, Williamson handled it with class and kept working hard.
Williamson looking to throw. Flushed out, and ahead, ball off the hand of Stanley Pritchett. And we got a little dissension in the ranks.
I don't think so. It looked like the South Carolina guys were fighting. I don't think that was the case.
I think Corey Lucci wanted to go after one of the volunteers, and his teammates held him back.
Yeah. Hey, Corey, you're the best guy we got. Don't do that.
Only senior on that offensive front. And now it's 3rd down and 6. Williamson under pressure. Right sideline. He's got Toby Cates. He's down inside the 30 as he cuts in. And he'll be cracked down from behind at the 20-yard line. Stop from behind. First down play. Bennett drops the ball and then manages to fall on it. Clock running with 2:20 to go. Carolina has 1 timeout remaining as they try to get into the end zone here before halftime.
And this is not a matter of winning or losing any longer. I mean, this is like the Christians and the Lions kind of. You know, you just like to get out alive. You don't want to really win. You just want to get out alive. And you're going to have games like this. The sky is falling.
2nd down and 13. Draw play to Bennett. Check it, it's Pritchett. And he ran into one of his offensive linemen. Tally on the Tennessee stop.
I don't think all season long South Carolina South Carolina has lined up with the same 5 guys up front. See Luther Dixon there, number 54. And he and Dinkins may be the only guys that have actually lined up and played every week in the same spot.
James Dexter out with a knee sprain. Corey Lucci playing hurt with a back injury. Williamson on 3rd and 13. Oh, they've got him way back there. Horace Morris, the first one there. That's his 4th sack of the year.
Horace Morris out of Miami, Florida. And he's been the best upfield pass rusher they've had all year. And he's becoming a more effective defensive end week to week.
That 13-yard loss takes them out of field goal range, and the Gamecocks go for it on 4th and 26. 30 seconds to go. Only a 3-man front for Tennessee, and they still almost got him. Williams flushed out right side. He will keep it, and he'll go out of bounds at the 23, and the ball will go over on downs to Tennessee with 16 seconds remaining in the half.
I'm sure Blake Williamson wanted his chance. I'm not sure he wanted his chance at this particular point, though. Down 38-3. But it's good to give him some experience under the center and see what he can do. I think probably in the second half, South Carolina should go back to their original game plan. You know, run the ball and try to keep this one close.
Jerry Colquitt back in at quarterback for the Vols. He'll kneel on it. And the first half will end with Tennessee leading Carolina 38-3. It was 14-3 after 1 quarter, and then they laid on 3 touchdowns plus a field goal in the second and lead it by 35 at the half. Let's go downstairs with Bob Kessling.
Coach, you got to be impressed with your football team first half.
I'm excited about the emotion they're playing with. We've got to do a little bit better on the penalties and some of those things, but our defense is playing great, and we're playing well offensively.
Your defense forced some turnovers early and let you blow it out.
Absolutely, that's the difference, and that's something that we want to happen, and they're doing a great job of making it happen.
Talk about the tempo you set early in the game with the Garner run.
Well, obviously it made a difference. It was a great run by him, and an awful lot of people blocking well. But I think that's a good start. But the main thing is to keep focused and keep going and finish up really good.
Coach, thanks. Thank you. Coach Philip Fulmer, his football team, very impressive in the first half, leading the South Carolina Gamecocks here at Neyland Stadium. Back with our halftime activities from Knoxville in just a moment.
The Lee Apparel. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Shoney's Breakfast Bar, the best breakfast in town. And by Nationwide Insurance. Check the yellow pages for the nationwide agent nearest you.
Welcome back to Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. Bob Carpenter and Tim Foley back upstairs, and it's all volunteers at the half, 38-3. 3 is how much the temperature has dropped since the start of the game, from 42 to 39 degrees. And let's have a look at our Rico halftime statistics. Tennessee, the edge just about everywhere you look. Total offense nearly doubling up. Actually, they have on the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Time of possession, they've had it more. And that's obviously something we talked about, Tim, earlier today, that Carolina had to keep the ball away from Tennessee. But the first time Carolina got the ball today, they were down by 7 points.
That's true, and it didn't slow down after that, actually. Defensively, South Carolina has to be very disappointed in their performance, and these things happen at times, but 364 yards in the first half, I'm sure that's the most the South Carolina team has given up in a long time, and this is a team that has played well all year long. They've played with emotion and enthusiasm, and they've overcome a lot of injuries to get to where they've gotten. It's a tough afternoon.
Well, coming in, they'd only given up an average of 294 total yards per game. And they've had nothing from special teams today. Nothing at all Corey Bridges and company could do with that kickoff. Steve Tannehill went 4 for 10 in the first half for 20 yards, and he's back in there at quarterback. Spelled for a while by Blake Williamson. Intercepted once, sacked once, and the Gamecocks will try to get some offense going here in the third quarter. He turned around and nobody was there. Paul Yatkovsky got the tackle, and Tannehill, well, you really can't blame him for that one. He turned around, his backs had gone elsewhere.
Well, somebody went the wrong way. Both of them are going to the left, and so maybe Steve went the wrong way.
Yeah,
there's no telling, but that's not how you want to start out. That's not the first step in regrouping.
Yeah, that replay indicates that it might have been the quarterback. Tannehill, a little shove ahead, drops the board, fighting his way out to the 28-yard line. And they'll be left with a 3rd down and 2.
DeBoer is always excited. You know, DeBoer is always looking around. He's bouncing, bubbling. You know, he's like, throw me the ball, give me the ball, let's knock somebody down. That's you better have fun when you're behind 38-3. Just have a good time. Go out and enjoy the game. There's no pressure anymore. Now it's just perform.
On 3rd and short, Brandon Bennett has the first down out to the 34-yard line. Brandon Bennett's first time Gamecocks will go to work again.
He's 4 times over 100 yards this season with a line that has been disheveled.
Tannehill gives it to him. Got away from one tackler, but the second man got him. Junior. Second down and 9 as they work out of the eye. Tannehill rifles one ahead, and that is out in the midfield area and into Tennessee. Then some play action. Blitz is on. They've got him. Fumble. Looks like Tennessee has it. Getting up with the football is Scott Gallion. Corey Stone appeared to be the man who made the hit that jarred the ball loose. And it looks like the first recovery of the year for Gallion, the sophomore left linebacker.
Got to get a little play action here, but Gallion's coming from the backside. Nobody picks him up. Corey Stone knocks it out, and then Gallion tracks it down.
He pounced on it in a hurry. Heath Schuler back at quarterback for Tennessee, and the play will stop as flags fly. So Schuler got a breather for a couple of possessions at the end of the first half, and he's back out there now. What do you think, Tim? Maybe Schuler will play the third quarter, and that'll be about it for today?
I don't know if Fulmer has a decision to make here. It depends on how bad his shoulder is, I think, and how bad they want to get Jerry Colquitt some experience. You'd be miserable if anything happened to Phil would be miserable if anything happened to Schuler at this point in the game. But you want to make sure that this one's put away.
Quick opener, Mose Phillips, and he's over the 50. Just bouncing off the right side there. James Flowers, who's starting at outside linebacker today with Chris Rump playing with a broken wrist, made the tackle for the Gamecocks.
I've seen some great runs in my time, but I think the run that Phillips had last year against South Carolina was one of the most spectacular runs I've ever seen.
You know, if Tennessee wins that game, Tim, that probably goes down as one of their all-time great touchdowns. But they lost the game. Off the hands of Mose Phillips out on the right side. You know, those great plays have a way of losing their lore, right, if the game is not won. Well, there's that old blue tick coonhound. At least the facsimile thereof. That's not the real. down and 9. Schuler. That looked like a Midnight Madness basketball move from last night as he leaped in the air and shoveled it out to the right side.
Now, you know, if we put some classical music to this move
and slow motion down.
Yeah.
You know, Philip Fulmer has to really be pleased seeing a play like that. His quarterback up in the air, suspended. Corey Bridges back to receive the punt of Tom Hutton. Low line drive, end over end, and Corey will let it bounce into the end zone. So the Gamecocks will get it back at their own 20. We've played 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the third quarter. 49 yards in the kick, no scoring in this half at least. Bama needs one more win to clinch outright the SEC West. Tannehill on 1st and 10, out to the right side, and that one was dropped by Brandon Bennett. They're still playing in the mud and the torn-up turf. Permission before calling that one, or else Tim Foley will hum more classical music to you. 2nd down and 10. Tannehill taken down from behind by Leland Taylor. His first sack of the year.
Luther Dixon is down on the field, Bob.
Well, that's all they need. They've already lost James Dexter, not playing with a sprained knee. Corey Lucci has a bad back. And at the start of the season, they had to replace guys like Ernest Dye, Kenny Farrell, Antoine Rivens.
It's not there, and he just can't get away. See Luther working against White, and he gets his ankle stepped on, looks like, by Corey Stone. Hope he's all right.
Is going to be inducted into the National Football Foundation and Hall of Fame coming up December. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you. It's a great honor. I guess this is, out of all the honors I've won, this is probably the best thing that's happened to me.
You played, of course, in Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee in the early 60s on some pretty good teams.
Well, no, we only won 13 games for 3 years, so it wasn't too good, but we had a good time playing.
That's what I'm saying. To win the Outland Trophy on those teams was a big thing.
Well, my senior year, we only won 4 games, so it was a battle, but we got it done.
But your son is Keith DeLong, who's now playing the 49ers. How's he doing?
He's doing pretty well. He hurt his foot about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he hadn't played much, but he'll be back. He's a good player.
This is the plaque. Dick Williams, of course, who is the East Tennessee chapter of the National Football Foundation, has it. That'll go on display here at the University of Tennessee and, of course, at the College Football Hall of Fame.
I'm sure Haywood Harris was the SID back then, right? He must have done a great job.
Tannehill down on a 3rd and 16. Horace Morris with quarterback pressure. Tannehill stumbled forward, and when the knee touched down, the play was over. Tennessee came into the game with 20 defensive sacks. They've tacked on 4 more today. And from the end zone, Marty Simpson will kick it. Looks like the Volunteers are set up for the block here, Tim. Here they come, and he got it away. And it is a beauty. At the 45, Corey Fleming with the fair catch. Volunteers with good field position. And we're back to Knoxville. Another sack for the Volunteer defense. And we're back after this from your local station. Tennessee today has averaged starting on their own 45. You give Heath Schuler 55 yards to the end zone every time he walks on the field. That is trouble. Single back set is Mose Phillips. He's got the draw, and he's got a first down inside the 45 of South Carolina. There's the college football. First down now at the 44 of South Carolina. sideline, and James Stewart muffed it. Injuries have been a part of this game today. Let's check in downstairs with Bob Kessler.
The last thing South Carolina needs is another injury in the offensive line. Luther Dixon has a severely sprained ankle. He is out for the rest of the game. They're going to take him to the hospital for x-rays. They fear it might be broken, but he is definitely out. So another problem for South Carolina's offensive line, which is already battered and bruised.
Gamecocks have next week off before they play Florida at home and then Clemson on the 20th of November. Schuler angles it outside, and that one is caught by Corey Fleming, and he'll be short of the first down at about the 35.5-yard line of Carolina. Heath Schuler now 11 of 18 for 153 yards.
Corey Fleming over 30 catches this year for Tennessee.
He's tied Alvin Harper's season record of 8 touchdown passes. He has 15 in his career. Harper had 16. Heath, not a huge day today, but he hasn't had to the way they've run the football. Phillips in motion as they split the back. Stewart trying to juke his way outside. And a good job there by Chris Abrams of not biting on it. He stayed right there and made the tackle. And Luther Dixon is headed off the field.
Well, we hope Luther's okay there. Hope it's not a broken bone, but if it is, it's the way things have been going for South Carolina in terms of injuries.
Just a sophomore out of Palmetto, Georgia. He played every play against Vandy last week, 78 snaps at left tackle. Tennessee came in 2-11 a game. They're at 2:28 now on the ground. First down at the Carolina 34. They'll keep it on the ground. Stewart into the secondary. As he tried to make a cut, he slipped, and he's down to the 22. Fell down right in front of Brew Pender. And 12 more for James Little Man Stewart. But he's a lot bigger than Charlie Garner. Stewart goes 6'1", 210. Garner 5'10", 187. Stewart's gone for 106 yards today.
Garner runs a lot bigger than he is. Now they've got him down there split out to the bottom and a much better receiver than Stewart.
Well, first of all, Ernest Dixon came across, and then there was some movement in the Tennessee offensive line.
But it seemed as though Ernest got back.
Yeah.
You know, then Bubba Miller tried to catch him offside.
Through halftime, watching the bands.
Yeah. If they don't have these little TV sets with them, there's nothing to do.
Watching a couple of punts here in the third quarter, so they finally got something to get mad about. It'll be second down. And 11. Schuler looking left. He's got Craig Faulkner. He'll turn inside. Take a hit, maybe a face mask, down around the 16. He could have Cadillac that one right out of bounds, but he decided to take the aggressive approach and do a 180 and come inside, and he took a shot or two.
Good read here by Schuler. They tried to blitz someone from the outside. He had lined up wide. He was sliding inside and then came at him. Schuler went to the proper place with the football, and then they did get Tony Watkins for a face mask.
And that'll be a first down.
And again, all year long, Miles Aldridge and John Judikis and Brad Loring and David Spivey, South Carolina, the defensive staff has done a wonderful job. This performance is not indicative.
Schuler, end zone.
You don't see that
Tony
much.
Watkins beat. No, he's a sure-handed receiver.
He had a problem with his wrist. He got hurt his wrist in a motorcycle accident. They thought his career was over. He was just going to coach this year. But he came back and played, and Tennessee certainly is glad he did. Looked like somebody got a hand in the way that might have interfered with his vision there.
Well, that could have tied the Tennessee record for career catches that Buckner held on. Ford coming into this one. There's Charlie Garner on the give. He was starting to smell pay dirt when he was wrapped around the ankles by Mike Landry. And we'll set up a third down play. 6.5-yard line.
Tennessee likes to run the draw in this situation.
Schuler had to wait. He had to force it into Fleming. There were Gamecocks all over the place. Mike Landry may have gotten a hand on it.
Going to his left all the way. Frank Adams covering Corey Fleming. Bats it away. Good coverage by Adams.
And the field goal team on. John Beckford, a 35-yarder earlier, trying to make it 7 of 8 on the year. He does. And the Volunteers tack on 3 more, and with 6:11 to go, third quarter, Tennessee leads it 41-3 over South Carolina. And we're back to Knoxville for more SEC football in a moment. But we know who the superior team has been between the lines. All Tennessee 41-3. Another kickoff in and out of the end zone. Frank Adams no chance to return it. And John Beckford has had a flawless day kicking the football.
He's almost had a flawless career.
Blake Williamson is back in there at quarterback for South Carolina. 6:11 to go, third quarter. On this cold, bone-chilling day in Knoxville, a lot of folks content with that 41-3 lead have headed for their vehicles on the way out of Knoxville. Williamson to Mike Reddick, coming in from tailback. Reddick's had a great average this season, 8 yards a carry. He plays a lot in third down passing situations. They use him on the draw play, but they've really not been any kind of possession at all. Play like that today. Closest the Gamecocks have been is after their first possession when they kicked the field goal and trailed 7-3. Second down and 9. There's the draw. This time it's Pritchett. And he's got a little bit of room off the left side.
You know, it's difficult when you get forced out of your game plan as we watch this draw again. South Carolina coming into the game wanting to run the football. And you see a good block there by Delvin Herring. But because they got behind, they got into some must-pass situations, and they just don't do that well in that area.
Williamson on 3rd and 6, out to the right side, and the ball thrown into traffic and a flag. Chris Alford, the intended receiver. There were 2 Tennessee defenders there. Then a third one came in, and you have to think pass interference with that flag flying.
Jenkins is slow getting up, and he ran into Raymond Austin. Go out pattern here. You see Corey Stone pressuring up the middle, and they got Raymond Austin for having his arm wrapped around Chris Alford. Technically a violation. Kind of a wimpy call. Not really. It's the correct call. You guys do a great job down there. It's a rule that's improper.
I knew that was coming. Williamson taking a draw, looking for somebody open, spots a man on the near sideline, and it squirts right beyond the reach of Kurt Frederick, a third-string quarterback who plays some at wide receiver. A couple of other SEC scores, games in progress. We've been tracking Georgia, Florida for you today. Kentucky trying to bounce back from a loss at Georgia, leading MSU in the first. And Georgia has kicked a field goal, but trails by 7. They moved into the fourth quarter down in soggy Jacksonville.
Terry Dean has come on to play quarterback in that football game.
Second down and 10 for Blake Williamson and the Gamecocks. He'll give it to Reddick, the deep man. Great job of cutting back to the right side. Gets outside, and he's very close to a first down. Reddick, a former All-City running back out of Christopher Columbus in Miami.
Yeah. Christopher Columbus High School. That's where Michael Shula played. Don Shula's son that later went on to Alabama. He's got an excellent program at that high school. And Mike Reddick is a product of that environment.
That might be the best non-Brandon Bennett running play of the day. A couple of minutes ago, Bennett had 82 yards, and all the others had combined for -2, wearing the white jerseys today.
And as you pointed out, after his first run, things got a little sticky for him.
Yeah.
Tennessee has been closing the gate since then.
It was the first down with 4:15 to go, third quarter. Carolina keeping it on the ground. Williamson with play action. And Ben Talley came to get him. There was also pressure from Paul Yatkowski. Talley with his second of the day, 5th of the year.
Talley tries to come along. It looked like they were pulling out Delvin Herring to try to pick up the blitzing linebacker, and Herring just couldn't get there before the fleet-footed Ben Talley made the hit on Williamson.
Another big day in tackles. Be up over 60, leading the Vols when this game is over. Second and 20. Williamson sets up the screen, throws it too high for Reddick. Didn't make much difference because Quincy Prigmore was working. He would have been right there to make the hit had the ball been caught. Now Tennessee can really tee off on 3rd and 20.
Larry Marmee continues to apply the pressure on defense, and that's the thing to do. You don't want to go into any prevent situation here because they haven't been able to get anything going. You got a big lead. People were complaining about why they didn't blitz more at the end of the Alabama game. You've got 2 defensive backs out. That's not a strategy that you consider.
Now with David Palmer back there. 3rd and 20. Williamson can't throw it. He'll tuck it under. And he thought he was going to get some yardage, but Scott Gallion was holding on to it. And some post-tackle activity, but no flags spotted. And the Gamecocks will kick the football away with Marty Simpson on the field. Corey Fleming back at his own 17. Marty Simpson had an 18-yard punt against Vandy last week. Sparky sent him a wake-up call and brought Irwin Jeffcoat in to kick a couple of times. That one almost blocked. Low spiral down to the 18. Fleming to the short side, and he'll get about 5 yards on the return. Volunteers will take over there with 2:17 to go. 36-yard kick. And you can spend New Year's Eve at the Outback Steakhouse Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Send a postcard with your name, address, and phone number to the address on our screen and register to win a trip for 2, including game tickets, hotel, airfare, and umbrella. The winner will be announced during the SEC Game of the Week on November 27th. You must be 21 or older to enter. You're responsible for your own umbrella. It has been something down there in Jacksonville today. Jerry Colquitt is the Tennessee quarterback. James Littleman Stewart on the carry. And they'll scrum it up over the 30-yard line, and let's check in with Bob.
Yeah, and entering the offensive line, of course, Tennessee's offensive line have been the Ironmen all season long. Kevin Maysville has a little stinger in his shoulder, a bit of a bruise. So for a precautionary measure, Kevin is in street clothes right now, won't play the rest of the half. Kevin's an amazing story. He came to Tennessee as a defensive lineman out of Kingston, Tennessee. Then last year, he suffered a knee injury. They thought he was out for the entire season, but he struggled in mid-season. He put himself on his own swimming program and came back in mid-season, has played, and is one of the toughest guys on the Tennessee team.
All right, Bob, thank you. 2nd and 3, ball on the ground, and Polk with Dixon. Now, does that teach you how to deal with that swim move by the defensive lineman?
Right, yeah. I'm sure that is probably why he invested that time there. He's also the fastest 200-meter guy they have.
No kidding.
In the swimming pool.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. 6'4", 277.
I didn't know you were that easy, but
6'4", 277. You're talking water displacement right there. 3rd down and 5.
See that weight.
Yeah. So quick looking to the left side, and they are in to get him. Well, he got racked up by a couple of guys. Ronnie Smith, and then Chris Abrams, the man who was in full stride when he got to the quarterback. Little peek into the future of the Gamecock defense. Smith, a sophomore, Abrams, a freshman, a true freshman.
And Miles Aldridge just turning them loose now as he brings Chris Abrams from the backside. They get the sack.
Hudson will let it go from his 10. Gamecocks, for a change, will get good field position. Ball will angle toward the near side and go dead at the 44.5 of South Carolina. I'm not sure they'll know how to act up in that part of the field. They haven't really started there at all today. A 36-yard kick. Their average site of possession today was back around their own 18-yard line.
That's quite a spread. You're talking about a 20-yard differential in drive starting week.
Williamson still the quarterback. And he will hand it off to Cleon Jones. Penalty flags on the play. Yeah, if you baseball fans recognize that name, his father, the former New York Met, Cleon Jones, a 5'10", 180 junior out of Viger High School in Mobile. They sort of liked his efficiency there. Every 7 times he carried the ball, he scored a touchdown. Academically ineligible last year, didn't play 2 years ago, redshirted in 90, fractured his foot in preseason. Gamecocks still trying to find out exactly what Cleon's all about. He backs up Reddick and Bennett right now at tailback. That's it for the 3rd quarter. Tennessee, in that period, picks up a Becksford field goal, and the Vols lead it 41-3 into the 4th. 1-3 in the Lee Apparel game summary after 3 quarters shows domination by the Vols. They're over their rushing average for the year. They're not over their passing average, but they have 411 total yards moving into the 4th quarter. First down and 19 for Williamson and the Gamecocks, and he throws it away into the Tennessee bench. Well, we mentioned earlier that both of these teams have week offs coming. Carolina does not play next week. Tennessee steps into the non-conference ranks next week. After an off day, Stanley Pritchett is the ball carrier. Tennessee plays a non-conference game next week against Louisville here. Howard Schnellenberger's Cardinals are Liberty Bowl bound. They will have a week off and then play at Kentucky on the 20th and finish up their traditional in-state rivalry with Vanderbilt.
And that game here against Louisville will be a good football game. If there's anybody in America that knows the passing game, it's Howard Schnellenberger.
Yeah. Louisville's only lost to unbeaten at that time, West Virginia.
And that was a nail biter.
Yep, that was close.
Took his Louisville team out and demolished Alabama out for Phoenix.
On 3rd and 15. And nothing doing on that play for the Gamecocks, and they'll have to kick it away with 14:02 to go. Kurt Frederick was the intended receiver. Yeah, that was amazing a couple of years ago when that happened. Russ Dellenberger put the Miami program on the map, then left for the pros, left it for Jimmy Johnson and Coach Erickson to sort of keep it going. They've done so in good fashion.
And they really have handed that program off well, haven't they?
I'll say.
Yeah, because Howard did get it going. I remember the University of Miami when there were 18,000 people in the stands. Nobody there.
Sean Summers back to get it at the 20. Nothing right, nothing left, and then he's knocked down, and that may have been a face mask as a flag flies. Turn. Well, positive yardage at least. We're back to Knoxville in a moment.
Control here against South Carolina in the fourth quarter. Schuler's day is done. Schuler, of course, has led the Volunteers to this big lead. Many think that Schuler would be the #1 pick in the draft coming out if he does decide to go to the NFL. Schuler all along has said he's going to stay at Tennessee for his senior season. We asked him yesterday if he's wavering at all on that decision.
No, I haven't. I mean, obviously, I'm sticking by my guns. I'm going to plan to be here next year. And it's just something that, you know, everybody likes to talk about, and it's enjoyable for people to talk about. It's something else. You know, it's nothing negative, so obviously it's something positive that you would have that opportunity. And if I just continue playing well, then maybe in the next year, not this coming year, but the next year, then I'll have that opportunity to play.
Could be the first quarterback of the Carolina Panthers.
Well, that'd be very nice.
Heath is from Bryson City, North Carolina. But he said he'd like to stay, work a regular class schedule, and graduate on time about a year and a half from now. Of course, there have been others who've said that until the check gets waved in front of their face. But I think Heath Schuler might be a little different ilk. I think a comment he made to Bob Kessling after that interview yesterday is very telling. He said he really wants to stick around and enjoy the college life because he knows it's something he'll never experience again.
Yeah, and I think that a quarterback is different. A quarterback coming out early is different than a running back coming out early. Like Garrison first came out early last year. When you got that instinct and you know where to go with the football, that's one thing. I'm not sure how much you learn how to be a great runner. You know what I'm saying? You got to have that basic instinct and feel and vision and quickness. Quarterback, you're learning every week. And he has, at least in my estimation, improved dramatically since the first time I saw him. You know, under the tutelage of David Cutcliffe and Phil Fulmer. I mean, he's made a lot of progress, and I think he'll do nothing but get better. Charlie Ward's the best quarterback I've seen in college football so far this year.
Yeah, he'll be the best Heisman-winning football quarterback this year, too. Out to the left side, and that one is complete. Kendrick Jones on the receiving end of that pass. Jay Graham was the true freshman that you saw carry the ball the play before. Some of the young guys are getting a chance to see some action. Kendrick Jones, a junior out of Collierville, Tennessee, a former All-American there. That was his 4th catch of the year.
It's at times like this when you're glad that you have Kim Anderson here as a spotter. This is where your talent really shows up. You know, anybody can do the first-string guys and even the second-string guys. But when you start to get down in through.
Well, I appreciate the credit given me on that. 2nd down and 2. And the opener to the fullback. Never going down was Cleon Mitchell. But the play had been whistled. Cleon, a Lauderdale Lakes, Florida guy. 6'1", 247 sophomore. He's a lot of fun to tackle. And he came up a little late. 11:50 and running. Here is the clock in Knoxville. And the officials will call a timeout to get the injured player off of there. So Cleon, who hadn't been out there all day, came in for a play and got hurt. Bob Kessling, back to you.
Paul Yadkowski, as we mentioned earlier, that his parents are here from Winnipeg, Canada. They're seeing their first college game. Paul, in fact, they're coming down the steps right now. Hi, I'm Bob Kessling. Good to see you.
Pleased to meet you.
Give your thoughts on Neyland Stadium, your first college football game here in the U.S.
Unbelievable. Fantastic. The enthusiasm of the fans here is something else.
How is college football taken up in Winnipeg? You guys as big up there?
Well, no, university football is not the same as here in in the United States. Not the same. Never the same.
Always tell us when he was in high school, maybe 100 folks would show up for the high school games there in Winnipeg.
That's about it. That'd be the parents. That'd be parents that show up and stand around the sidelines next to the players, of course, on the opposite side of the field.
In Canada, though, everybody's supposed to play hockey. Were you kind of disappointed he didn't play hockey and turned to football?
Well, he tried hockey. Did a couple winters, and he didn't like it. Then he went to football. He played soccer, baseball, but football was his game.
Now, do you understand what's going on out here at all?
Oh, yes, most definitely, yes.
You just watched 99. Congratulations. Welcome to the SEC and to the U.S., and enjoy your stay.
Thank you very much.
Great. Nice to meet you.
All right. Paul looking up into the stands. Oh, my golly, they're talking to my folks. Oh, no.
Third down. Boquist swings it out right side. And the ball is ahead for Jay Graham. Bob Kessling will be introducing himself to more people around the stadium as we wrap up our coverage in the final 10:50 here today. And it'll be a kicking situation. Tom Hutton is back on the field for Tennessee. South Carolina will have it back. A 41-3 ball game in the fourth quarter with 10.5 minutes to go. Gamecocks are set up for a block here. Oh, now they drop back. They had 10 men up there, but then they drop back for the return. And it's taken there by Corey Bridges at about the 17-yard line. With 10:18 to go, Carolina has it back on the short end of a 41-3 score. Well, a few moments ago, Bob Kessling talked to Paul Yadkowski's parents, and he had a chance to meet with them on the sideline. I can promise you that was his gentlest hit of the day. He laid some lumber on the Gamecocks a time or two. South Carolina has the football back with 10:18 to go. Blake Williamson will hand it off to Stanley Pritchett, and not much there for him on the left side. Well, Tim, you have to feel bad for the Gamecocks today. I'm sure there was a lot of build-up in South Carolina regarding this game based on what happened last year, but there was a lot of build-up in Arkansas, too, before the Volunteers took on the Razorbacks after Arkansas had gotten the big upset here last year, and they've taken care of both of those revenge tactics.
I think you really have to credit Phil Fulmer and the Tennessee staff for the job that they did, keeping their team focused and on track.
And that ball is on the carpet. John Emery picked it up. A redshirt freshman out of Norco, Louisiana, who backs up Reggie Ingram at middle linebacker. And he's got his first fumble recovery of the year, but Emery has been a part of a big play. Earlier this season, he scored a touchdown against Duke when Greg Johnson blocked a punt, and Emery took it in. Looked like Corey Stone was shaken up on the play. Todd Helton is the Volunteer quarterback, and he hands off to Eric Lane, a redshirt freshman. A Jersey kid out of Chestnut Ridge. And there's Todd Helton, sophomore out of Central High School here in Knoxville. He's also a UT baseball All-American. Oh, boy. Here goes Cleon Mitchell, who was hurt a few moments ago, leaning on crutches. Second down and 5, clock running with 9:05 to go. Helton to the same man, Eric Lane, trying to backpedal his way to the end zone. He's got the first down, and he's down around the 5-yard line. Looks like Scott Pfeiffer, the tight end, is injured. That appears to be number 89. Pfeiffer, a redshirt freshman tight end out of St. Louis University High School. This week, our SEC scholar, the red zone, or the orange zone, as they're calling here. First and goal from the 5, and Eric Lane piled up by the Gamecocks there. Now, there's the mismatch of the day right there, folks.
It's Dave Burchett. How did he get in the stands? Well, he didn't leave early, did he?
definitely the mismatch of the day. Second down and goal inside the 5. Volunteers knocking on the door again. They lead at 41-3. 38-3 it was at halftime. Helton will keep it left side, and that's a touchdown pass. John Sartell. Sartell, the tight end, with his first reception of the year, and it's good for a touchdown. And Todd Helton's first TD throw of the season. Sophomore hooks up with a redshirt freshman, and the Vols are on the board. Expert again. That's 101 straight. Highly coveted playing time by these young guys in the fourth quarter, and they stick it in for 6. It's now 48-3 Vols. Even better looking one in the middle. You know, all these folks down here in front of us, all day long we thought they were looking at us. No, they're watching the Georgia-Florida game on TV right up behind us here. I thought they were looking at Tim Foley all that time.
We had to turn it off during the game here.
Yeah, Tim did have to lecture them one time.
But once it got out of hand, we decided to go ahead and turn it on for them.
John Becksford on the kick. And this one will come down at the 7 for Corey Bridges. He'll go straight ahead and cut outside to the right, back up the middle, and he's out to the 28. Unbeaten Auburn, trailing early minute of that game. We'll keep you updated. On first down, the pitch is back to Cleon Jones. He'll try to move it upfield and get to the 35. That'll be about a 7-yard gain on first down.
Yeah, one of the things you might be wondering if you're a South Carolina fan, when you've got a 41-3 lead, why is the other team throwing it into the end zone? Now these kids practice all year long, and when they get an opportunity to play, I mean, their folks still think it's fun to see them catch a touchdown pass too. So you just can't take those things personally.
2nd and 3. It's Jones again with a pitch this time. He tried to turn the corner on Torrey Noel, and he said, forget it. Noel, a true freshman out of Melrose High School in Memphis. Well, next Saturday, our Leah Parallel.
It's felt like we've been into November this Saturday.
Yes, it has. 3rd down and 3 for the Gamecocks at the Volunteers 35. Blake Williamson, good time. Almost intercepted, and that would have been an easy 6 for Nick Jester. Jester's the guy that backs up Ben Talley. He was looking for his first pick, and this would have been 6.
Blake Williamson trying to get it to Cleon Jones, who's run kind of an option route. Jester stayed right with him. Those shoulder pads get in the way. When it bounces off those things, it's kind of tough to catch.
They've got 5 seconds remaining now in that game. Eric Zier just spiked the ball a moment ago. And he throws it into the end zone. And Georgia has just scored a touchdown on the last play of the game.
Okay, what do you do now, Coach? We go for 1 or 2.
It's bedlam here. South Carolina about to kick it off with the punt here, by the way. They've got 1 second left in that football game at Jacksonville, but Georgia has scored. Carolina gets the kick off the low spiral back to the 25-yard line. Sean Summers up to the 35, and that's where the Vols will have it with 6 minutes and 2 seconds remaining. The Volunteers will start off at their own 34, leading 48-3. Todd Helton again on this series is the quarterback. And he will roll left side, and he will keep it. He's over the 40, approaching midfield, and cracked down at the 49-yard line. That'll be a first down. Drew Pender from free safety on the stop. Looks like that Georgia touchdown got called back. And then they ran another play at the end on which there is a penalty flag. Now it's 1st and 10 for the Volunteers at their own 49-yard line.
You ever done 2 games at once before?
Not lately. And the ball carrier there, Jay Graham, nothing much there. Good work by the South Carolina defense. Kanata Reed, third-string linebacker on the stop there.
Stop by Alford. Second.
So evidently Georgia got the ball into the end zone with a second left in the game, but it was called back on a penalty. Then they threw another one in the end zone. It was incomplete, and some sort of flag was thrown. We'll keep you updated. Second down, Andy Levin for Tennessee. Helton rolling right side. Throws across his body. And out there, he's got Nilo Sylvan. He breaks loose. Now he cuts inside. Touchdown, Tennessee. A 48-yard play. Make it 52. They were on their own side of midfield. Held on to beat Georgia. Meanwhile, here in Knoxville, the Volunteers are into the 50s with the extra point coming up as Nilo Sylvan got loose and went all the way. Becksford, another one. And it's 55-3, Tennessee. Well, I tell you, Tim, we just got a report on what happened in Gainesville. The official said that one of the wide receivers called a timeout right before the play where they scored the touchdown.
Actually, it was the defensive back from Florida that called the timeout.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, he was signaling a timeout. The referee didn't see him, and just as the ball was snapped, the ref saw him.
33-26, the final in Jacksonville as Florida holds on. And they will stay on top of the SEC East. Well, there's one thing you can say, Tim. When Tennessee played at Florida about 6 weeks ago, it was a dandy football game. It's a shame either team had to lose that game. And these are obviously two outstanding teams in the East. Let's update the standings now. With Florida winning, they go to 5-1. If Tennessee wins, and gosh, I guess they will, they'll go to 4-1-1. Kentucky playing today. Georgia falls to 2-5, as does Carolina. So we've got 4:40 to go here. 55-3, Tennessee. Expert on the kickoff. This one will come to Corey Bridges at the 6. He's looking for the other side of the field. And again, just no field position at all for the Gamecocks. Just
that's one of the big transitions that a new player has to make. You know, a true freshman. In high school, he's used to outrunning everybody. You know, he can freeze them, give them a little shake, and then outrun them to the sidelines. But all of a sudden now he's at this other level where there's a lot of people that can run as fast as he can.
Yeah.
And they can just, they can prevent you from turning the corner.
Mike Williamson, the South Carolina quarterback, he'll go on a draw play. And the ball is carried there by Reggie Alexander. Then it's picked up by Vincent Dinkins as the ball popped loose. We don't have Vincent's average yards per carry.
This offensive lineman they had at their center makes their adjustment, so they felt comfortable with him doing that.
And with his help, they gained 9 yards in the play. There's Mike Reddick with a big hole. He's up to the 34.
Reddick, carry.
Let's have a look at our Jefferson Pilot Sports players of the game. Brandon Bennett, 82 yards for Carolina. There's not much to choose from there today, folks. Brandon had a great first half. He had 48 on his first carry of the day. Charlie Garner, though, joined by James Stewart, over 100 yards. And Jefferson Pilot Sports will donate $2,000 to the Southeastern Conference to be distributed among its member institutions in honor of those two players of the game today. And we mentioned a few minutes ago that Tennessee next week plays Louisville. Last time they had 2 players over 100 yards rushing in a game was Hayden and Stewart against Louisville 2 years ago. Notre Dame hangs on to Hawk Navy. Wisconsin trying to take care of Michigan. There are Bowl Scouts here in the stadium from the Florida Citrus Bowl. They know that they'll get Tennessee, Florida, or Alabama. They thought for a while they might get Wisconsin out of that Big Ten. And there's Corey Bridges in behind the secondary. He fumbles the football, or was the play dead? He's down to the 14 of Tennessee. Looks like the play.
Will Lovie Smith about letting somebody get that far behind you at this stage of the football game.
First down, 2:15 to go. Carolina trying to get that first touchdown of the day. Mike Reddick to the near side. Forget it. Last week against Vanderbilt, South Carolina had 1 offensive touchdown. It was a 1-yard keeper by Steve Tannehill. Kentucky easily over Mississippi State today. Tannehill said it was meant for Brandon Bennett, but he checked off at the line of scrimmage and called his own number, and he said Bennett's been mad at him all week. But that's the only touchdown they have scored now their last 3 ball games. They were shut out the week before at Mississippi State. Second down and 14. Williamson will look left. Riddick wasn't open. And he's sacked, fumbles it, and it's picked up by the Volunteers. Might have been John Emery. His second fumble recovery of the day.
Bring a wide receiver in motion. Williamson rolling to his left. Once he can't get the man open that he's looking for in the corner, it's hard for him to get his hips around. Finally, Tennessee recovers it.
There's another bad scene as Mark Upton, backup right tackle, goes in on crutches. Shane Burton, a hard hit there. Ball came loose and Emery picked it up. And now Helton hands it off. Running to the far side, out of bounds is Eric Lane. 1:45 to go. Well, Tim, I'm not sure what kind of definitive statement we could make to put a lid on this one, except that going down the stretch with games remaining against Louisville, at Kentucky, and at home against Vandy, Tennessee looks like they're in great shape to finish about a 9-1-1 season if they can handle those Cardinals next week. But of course, the Kentucky game won't be any easy for them.
Kentucky's going to be tough for them.
They've got to go to Lexington. It'll be nice and crispy up there in November. And here's Eric Lane again, down to the 40.
We've done many a Kentucky-Tennessee game over the years, and obviously in each one of them, Tennessee was heavily favored, and Kentucky oftentimes came up and gave them all they could handle.
See, I think that happens in the great rivalries. I think it happened today with Georgia and Florida. I think everybody would think that Florida's a much better team than the Bulldogs right now. Great series over the years, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma. You always see those sort of things happen. They step to another level. Lane, the ball carrier. And he was wrapped up there by Ronnie Smith. 1 minute to go. None too soon for Gamecock fans. They'll fall to 4-5 on the year, 2-5 in the SEC, and they'll have a week off. Won't be a pleasant week. A lonely feeling on that sideline. Sparky still has the headset on, though. A lot of coaches would have gotten rid of that long before now.
True, and Sparky's a fine man. Both these head coaches, good guys, and sometimes things happen that you can't control. He's the type of man that should be in college coaching. There's no question about it.
Ball carrier there. We're not sure. We have that number not on our charts. Number 37 of Tennessee. Clock stopped at 13 seconds while they move the chains. Neil Purdy was the ball carrier. That'll do it. Tennessee beats Carolina 55-3 here in Knoxville. We're back with some final words from UT in a minute.
Nationwide Insurance. Check the yellow pages for the nationwide agent nearest you.
While the Volunteers walk across that checkered end zone, they were in that end zone a lot today. 55-3. We're back after this from your local SEC football. For Bob Kessling and Tim Foley, Bob Carpenter, so long from chilly Knoxville.
Tim Stewart continues our theme of great rushing touchdowns today. Gets great blocking as well. Goes 52 yards for the score. Tennessee wins it 55-3.